Hello and welcome to the Urban GardenHER YouTube channel. My name is Alexis and I am the Urban GardenHER. Today is October, what are we in? October 4th, 5th, 5th, 6th? I don't lost track of days, but I know that it's early October. And as you can see, long sleeve shirt, we are now in fall, you guys. And it's funny because fall is like, it's a season that I used to enjoy. My birthday's in fall, so that's probably why I'm biased, but also because of holidays that come around. But it's also like a time where it's kind of like sad because things in the garden start to die off. The sun doesn't come out as often, so and that kind of like makes a lot of people, some people like experience seasonal emotions and depressions, not being around family for the holidays and just different things and emotions. But it's a happy and a challenging time for me, to be honest. But the garden is definitely something that helps me to get through it. So I'm actually excited about this fall garden. And in preparation for, now that we're in fall gardening, but there are some things that you need to remember to do now that all of our plants are, they should be in their locations, permanent locations, for the fall and winter. But there are some things in addition to planting in your garden, the different vegetables and fruits, whatever you have, and herbs in your garden, that you need to do in order to prepare for the fall, winter, and for next spring. So today I'm going to walk you through the different things that you need to do in your garden in order to prepare for fall and winter. I had 7 things in mind, but I'm gonna go through probably 8. I don't know. Let's see what we end where we land up in. But let's go ahead and get started with going down the different things that you need to do in prep for the fall, winter, and next spring. First thing you want to do in your garden, if you are growing them, is to harvest your annual and perennial herbs in your garden. The reason why I say both is because your annual herbs, typically like basil and at least in the colder zones, don't come back once they're hit by the frost. And so by harvesting them, at least you can be able to enjoy them before they die off. I say perennial because also that you need to harvest the perennial herbs because although they return the following year, they are not as productive in the wintertime, in the colder seasons. So if you want to be able to enjoy them, it's your choice. You can leave them on the plant, but I typically like to harvest them before the winter time just to not disturb the plant and just leave it alone and let it go into, I guess, a dormant state, to where that it can just relax until the next spring when it comes back and produces. So first things first, harvest your herbs, annual and perennial. And perennial herbs are herbs that return every year. So a cold frost does not really kill them if they're established well. So like sage, for example, is a perennial herb. Rosemary, oregano, what else? Thyme are perennial herbs in our zone, zone 7, 7B. Um, Annual herbs for us are basil. I'm trying to think what else. I think lemongrass too. I could be forgetting about some other herbs that I'm growing. Um, yeah, harvest all of them. The second thing you want to do is that once you harvest them, and be sure to harvest the part of the stem that is soft and not woody, because if you do harvest the soft part of the stem, like here, instead of like closer to the base of the plant where it's woody, is that one, you are guaranteed the plant will produce more. Like it'll like almost like grow 2 more stems from that piece of the soft area of the stem, versus if you harvest from the woody area, it's harder to return back. But also because the soft part of the stem, you're able to propagate and put in some water or some soil and either grow more of that plant or that herb, or bring it inside to be able to enjoy it and grow it indoors, which I've also done. So the next thing you're going to do is to propagate your perennial strawberries by either air layering them or taking the runners and putting them in some soil to make more strawberries that are established in the ground before the winter time. So for me, I planted these strawberries in this planter last year actually, and strawberries are perennial. They will come back every single year, depending on which variety you get. In this particular variety, I can't remember if it's everbearing or June bearing strawberry, but it returns back every year. It grows in full like it is now. You see the actual flowers on here right now, y'all. Like it might be everbearing since it's like more flowers that are producing right now. I had a flush, I guess, a wave of them come in around spring, and now we're about to get some more strawberries. Looks like for the winter. That'd be cool. But anyways, yeah. So, but they also, when they are growing, they have these runners that are growing that come off the plant. And if you're growing this on the ground, then you'll see them like just spread out across the ground. But I'm growing mine in the hanging basket. But these are runners that are coming off the plant, and it's basically new strawberry plants that are growing in. So I actually propagated these by putting an air layering. So this is actually what the little node looks like when the runner comes out. And this, if you plant this into some water, I'm sorry, into some soil, it'll root. And then you can like cut this off and have a new plant. You don't want to do it before it roots because it might die. So I just put some soil on here with some saran wrap, and we got some roots at the bottom. I actually did this about a couple weeks ago. It actually started rooting about a week after I did this. So I'm going to just find somewhere else to put this in my garden and let the roots get established so that when the freeze comes, they will they will be established and be ready for the next year. So we got to find somewhere to put this bad boy. But I have like, about 7 of these different runners that came in. Some of these didn't root, which is interesting. I don't know. Maybe because they weren't buried into the soil well enough. But if you do it the right way, which this one was done the right way, you can get some roots from them. This has some roots. Ooh, lots of roots on it. So I got to actually put that in some a new home. Yep, that one too. Lots of them. This is so cool though. Lots of roots. So I got literally this one big plant produced 7 new plants. So propagate your strawberries in the winter before it gets too cold to propagate them. So another berry plant that I'm going to propagate is my raspberry plant, and another herb-ish berry plant. I'm going to harvest the leaves too for raspberry leaf tea, which is like an herbal tea that I like to have. But I'm going to propagate this plant because it's been growing like wild, and I'm going to propagate it one so that I can have more of them and I can sell them for next year. So that's an easy, pro tip, you guys, if you're like doing farmers markets or anything. Propagate your raspberry plants. You can sell these. So I'm just going to probably propagate it by pulling up some of the roots and putting them into a pot of soil, because as you can see, this thing grew kind of wild and crazy. So yeah, don't forget to propagate not just your strawberries, but also like your berry bushes if you want to, share some, sell some, yeah, whatever have you. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to save the seeds of your summer annual vegetables or fruits and herbs that you want to be able to grow again the next year. So a lot of my plants, and I more recently just remembered to do this because now that I am, you know, I am trying to be more sustainable where we can continuously grow the same things that we grew. And also, I have been selling some of the seeds that I harvest from my garden. So, what better way to be able to sell seeds that I have harvested from my own garden than to harvest, the summer vegetables before they die. So, or before we use them up without saving our seeds. So save your seeds, you guys. Like, I have some poblano peppers here, and this is the first year I grew poblano peppers, and we enjoyed them. I'm gonna be sure that when we before we cook them, to harvest all of this seeds and the poblano peppers. And let's see what else. These here chili beans that are drying. I'm actually growing them for dry beans. I will probably save some of these beans as well so that I can grow them again next year. But again, save the seeds, you guys. Like, don't just like harvest them and be done. Like, keep the seeds from the vegetables that you have grown so that you can continue to grow them again, and that you don't have to continuously buy seeds from the stores or anywhere else. You have your own like seed store in your garden. You know, it just is, the garden just replenishes itself. It is, you know, forever continuously giving things, not just feeding you, but also like giving you plants and different things. The next thing to remember to do is to mulch your garden. And a lot of people ask, why would you mulch your garden? And it's good to just have good practice in mulching your garden, because mulching your garden, like, it suppresses the weeds that could potentially come up in your beds and containers. It also keeps your plants warm, the soil warm, so that, you know, when those cold months come, at least they are, the roots and everything, the plant is a little warmer because of the mulch that's on top of them. And so I use actually garden straw that I bought from Epic Gardening, and I have the link in my description for a discount code that offers a discount. Can't remember if it's 5 or 10%. I think it's 5% discount for you all. And it's a really good straw. Like, it doesn't have seeds. Like, some of these straws out here, y'all, they have seeds in them from grass, and you don't want grass growing in your plants. That's more weeds. It's like defeats the purpose. So suppressing the weeds and keeps your soil warm. Next thing you're gonna want to do is to prep your annual plants to bring them indoors before the frost hits them and kills them. So for me, that's my citrus plants, like my lime plant and my lemon plant. These are not perennial for my zone, unfortunately. Like some of you all that live like in Florida and all those different places down south, we had to bring our citrus plants indoors because they will die from the frost that comes in the wintertime. So for me, I am just, I've been dreading this process because it just is a whole process, a whole thing. I have to repot everything. Basically, I have to get all the soil out of my plants that have been outdoors, because you don't want to bring the bugs that were outside inside your house. So you're going to want to take the plant, remove the old soil, shake it off, clean off the roots a little bit. Some people even use hydrogen peroxide or different, I don't know if I want to use that, but you know, you can do different things. Look it up, do your research. Clean off the roots and then repot it in some potting soil, not compost, potting soil indoors, and put it in a sunny area in your house. It's going to go through a little transition period. It'll probably lose some leaves maybe, but this will save your plants so that you can have them again. And then when it becomes spring, like close to summer again, or May, our time, you can start transitioning these back outdoors. So I'm a little disappointed in my little citrus plants because they didn't produce any fruits this year, and maybe because I don't know if my citrus plants are supposed to produce every year, but they didn't produce or flower at all this year. So I don't know. I'm hoping at least next year we'll get something out of them. The next thing you're gonna want to do, tidy up your lawn of any of the plants that you grew, the containers that they were in, any seed pots. Like, just pick up all the plants, pick up all the seed pots so that you don't have to worry about doing that in the springtime. I like to do this usually in the fall because by spring, I just want to plant stuff in the garden. I like my lawn to look clean and just not have to worry about anything but just getting my seedlings out into the ground and seeds in the ground. So pick up all of your seed pots and tidy up your lawn as well in the fall. The next thing you're going to want to do is to just start harvesting like some of your summer vegetables that are still producing. So for us, we still got some peppers. These are Tabasco peppers that are still growing and producing. Oh, I'll say that they're turning red. They're not flowering anymore. They're just here. The plant isn't dead. It's still here. And harvest your peppers that are ripe. You can leave the ones that are green, the green ones, or you can harvest them. But I've read and heard that leaving them, they are hotter if you leave them on the vine to ripen versus off the vine. Oh, well, I guess we got two. So harvest your vegetables that are your summer vegetables that love the heat, because again, you don't want to get hit by a surprise, cold snap or frost, and then the plant just like dies, and you lose all of the stuff that you're waiting for to harvest. So we're gonna go ahead and just harvest our peppers here, and some tomatoes. You want to harvest your tomatoes as well. I have a bunch of green ones, and again, Green tomatoes are fine. They will ripen fine on your countertop. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab those as well. So I'm just gonna pull up my tomatoes. Some of my tomatoes here are big to size, but they're not ripe yet, which is fine. They'll ripen on the countertop. Just looking around, making sure I don't run into this one spider I saw. It left this egg sac, but it's not here. I don't see this web. But yeah, we're gonna harvest the tomatoes and then we're gonna let them ripen on the countertop. And the other thing too about harvesting your tomatoes is that if you're like in the in between season like now, tomatoes, I still see flowers that are coming in, and tomatoes can grow as long as November, at least for us. So they'll produce quicker if you harvest the tomatoes that are on there and don't let them ripen on the vine. It'll just allow the flowers that are coming in getting pollinated and have a small tomato to grow a little bit bigger before it actually gets hit with the frost. So harvest your green tomatoes. It's okay, so that more tomatoes can come in and produce more. All right, you guys. So for a recap, hopefully I can remember all of them. I think there was 8. So the first thing you're going to do is to harvest your herbs, your annual and perennial, propagate your herbs, propagate your berries like your strawberries and raspberries or any other plants that you can propagate. You're going to want to also save your seeds from your plants from the year. You're going to want to mulch your plants so that you can retain the suppress the weeds, retain moisture, and also to retain heat and warmth during the wintertime. You're going to want to tidy up your yard so that it'll save you time for when you come back out here in the springtime and start, your whole season over again. And you're going to want to prepare your annual plants for indoors. And then also the bonus one, which I just completely forgot, is to make sure you harvest all of your summer vegetables as well. So that was 8 things. So I'm glad I remember all 8. But yes, remember to do those 8 things in your garden so that you can have a continuous harvest, continuous um, production of plants for years to come, and just to save yourself some time and work for the future of the upcoming seasons. Like, this is about to be a long time that you will not be outdoors, and you're going to be eager to get outside, but you're also going to be like overwhelmed if you don't do all these different things, or you're going to be like, regretful of forgetting some of these things and doing them, not doing it in the fall ahead of time. But I hope this was helpful to you all, and I'm so excited for your fall garden and my fall garden. It's going to be a great year. Everything is already just taking off and just looking so lush. I'm so happy about this. I've never gotten this far into the season or early in the season and had like just, stuff that I can already start to harvest. So I'm excited. But again, I hope that was helpful for you all, and happy gardening.